and welcome to Loving the Planets for the week of September 3rd, 2018. I'm Armand Diaz in Long Island, New York.
And I'm Margaret Gray in Dublin, Ireland.
Margaret, in a word, or a short phrase, what would you think about this week?
Confusion. That would be the main word. What about you, Armand?
I like confusion. Confusion. We have a Neptune aspect. We have a Sun-Neptune aspect, and that can, the Sun is going to be opposite Neptune. And I feel that that type of energy, you can make demons and you can make gods and goddesses out of ordinary folk when the Sun and Neptune get together. You can think too much or too little of someone, get a little bit wound up about things, and that's confusing. But Mercury is doing some stuff too.
It is confusing for relationships, and I'm thinking that really this confusion has gone on for a couple of weeks now. Really, we've been in a little bit of this energy, though not as much as this week. And of course, this week will end on a new moon, so there really is kind of a new beginning coming. But the new moon also is in Virgo, opposite the Neptune planet. So really, it is a very kind of underwater week, as if we're kind of functioning in, just when you put your head underwater when you're swimming without a mask or a snorkel, and it's all a little bit confusing. It's like, what's a rock and what's seaweed and what's a fish or whatever. So as you say, in our relationships, just to kind of watch out. Are we misinterpreting what somebody means? Are we kind of picking up the signals in a wrong way? So this is not the week to try and get clarification on relationships.
No, it isn't the week to try to get clarification on relationship. It could very well be. I mean, let's face it, the Sun-Neptune thing could be fun if you sort of remember that it's a movie, like whatever the drama of the week is, it's a movie, and next week it'll be a little bit different. It's funny because this week I feel we get into it smoothly enough, and then the confusion sort of sets in as we go along. We also have Saturn stationing during the week, and we're sitting right there on the 6th at midweek, and that's liable to feel a little heavy. And then we're coming into the new moon, and so there could be a little bit of extra seriousness around, which is probably not the best thing, actually. Don't take it too seriously.
We've also got, of course, Venus changing sign, towards the end of the week. She's going into Scorpio. And whenever we have Aphrodite, the goddess of love, changing signs, I think the whole energy around relationships really shifts. And as you said, this shifts into kind of something deeper. It could also shift into something more passionate. But I think we can't take relationships as lightly when Venus is traveling through Scorpio. We kind of, we get pushed into that. And to note also that she kind of stays there until the end of the year, aside from 2 weeks when she goes into Libra, because she's going retrograde in October. So just as we're coming out of a lot of the retrogrades, which means that energy is moving forward, thank goodness Mars is moving forward, so we're kind of more enthusiastic, ready to go, ready to start new relationships. And then whang, we're kind of pushed into the underworld a little bit with Venus and Scorpio.
Yeah, Venus enters the shadow of her retrograde. That is, she starts getting to the point that she's going to retrograde back over on September 3rd. And so, whatever happens, and, we're sort of giving mixed messages here, because on the one hand, it's like there's a seriousness coming into the new moon. And on the other hand, it's like, well, there's a lot of Neptune around, so don't take it too seriously. Well, because you just don't know, and that's the nature of confusion. It's not that there's nothing to pay attention to, it's just you don't know what to do about it. But with Venus entering the shadow of her retrograde, it means that whatever happens, whatever comes up, good, bad, whatever, you like it, you don't like it, it's probably going to have to get redone a couple more times, before the end of the year, before you really know how things are playing out.
It's also going to really help us to focus back on our self-esteem, our self-value, what we think of ourselves. And so often we look for that to be reflected in somebody else, especially in romantic relationships. And then I think when we go into that shadow time and into the retrograde, it kind of pushes it right back on us, where we need to kind of really look at, well, how do I feel about myself first and foremost? Because that's really the bottom line.
If you're going to go out and play this week, my first recommendation would be to get it done early in the week. I'm thinking Monday, Moon in Gemini. We're not quite in Saturn or Neptune's pull just yet. I would say that, there's still a little bit of light hanging around from the last quarter moon. That would be my first recommendation.
What about this new moon in Virgo, Armand? Any particular thoughts around relationships, the end of the week, the weekend, really?
It's not the most relationship-oriented new moon. There's no two ways about it. It's the kind of, it's a quiet inward. It's a good time for you to reset yourself. It's a good time for you to be thinking about, what's important to you, dealing with your own health and well-being, and then I guess you could extend that to your partners. It is a quiet sort of energy, a reserved energy. So it's not that much. The other thing I would think about for people that are not in relationships, this is a very, very important time to be thinking about, okay, what's important to me? What do I need to do? What do I value? That's a significant one.
And of course, this new moon also has a trine to Pluto. So again, there's that underworldy feel about it. And, I think whenever there's, a new moon that aspects, particularly Pluto and the transpersonals, we're really thrown into the unconscious realm. So to be aware, maybe watch your dreams this weekend and notice what comes up for you. Particularly with the new moon, and just to think it is, it's a good time for seeding something. So, time for reflection. Go by the sea. We always say this, if it's a new moon or a full moon in water, go and spend some time by the sea.
We're always telling you to go take a walk on the beach. Doesn't make any sense. Just go take a walk.
I do think that might have to do something with our own moons in water, maybe. It's our comfort, place of comfort.
Fire moons are going, what the hell? Well, the beach is great because there's sun, which is fire, there's sand, which is earth, there's water, there's wind. You got everything.
It's perfect. Who wouldn't want to go walk on the beach? My goodness. So yeah, we'll see you all on the beach at the weekend then.
Yeah,
Take care. Bye-bye, Armand.